Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, Open University.
Namaskar, welcome to Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Open University video sessions. Today, dear students, we are going to start on the critical criticism, the classical criticism, and today we have to discuss the block number 2, paper number 5, literary theories and classical criticism. Today's topic we are going to discuss about the Aristotle's Poetics, the theories of criticism, what is criticism and what is the genuine meaning of classical criticism. We shall see the meaning of criticism. Firstly, we have to see that the criticism means to judge something. So let's see the meaning of criticism. The criticism is a kind of trajectory that discusses the work of art. It is a technique to judge the literature. Previously, there was an oral culture. Poetry was taken as invocation of muse. Muse could be considered as poetry or prayer. Art was taken as an inspirational form, and art was considered with aesthetics. So, now specifically let's learn about classical criticism, which is known as classical criticism could be considered as old criticism also. It could be considered as ancient criticism. We can say that it is a criticism of Greco-Roman type. So these are the names which you should remember when you come across classical criticism. Look, Greek criticism, old criticism, ancient criticism. So here we are supposed to illustrate the students about Aristotle and Plato criticism, which is a very important trajectory, and ancient criticism, which is related with performing art and aesthetics. So let us go for classical literature characteristics, which is concerned with this topic. Literary theory and criticism. You can see now I think you can see the PPT and the topics under which we are going to start the topics one by one. The classical criticism means ancient Greek or Roman models in literature or art. Look, the very first thing that comes over here is about classical literature, which is categorized as classic due to its characteristics. It stood as the taste of time. Classic itself, word itself suggests that it is the taste of time. Universal appeal, simplicity, regularity of form, sense of beauty and balance, all these things are giving the same meaning about the classic theory or the classic word, and that's why it is known as the classic literature. And the criticism which could be done on classic literary works is known as classical criticism, which is in your paper number 5 and block number 2. The earliest work of literary theory is considered to be Aristotle's Poetics, and we have to learn Aristotle's Poetics and his definition to tragedy. These are the two main things that comes under the theory of classical criticism. Look, the first thing that we have to go in deep, it is about Aristotle's Poetics. His period of time is 384 BC to 322 BC. B.C. is before Christ's period of time. He was born in Stagirus in Macedonia, and his wife is Pythias and his mistress was known as Harpilis. We must know at least some part or some of the impressions of some of the information about Aristotle, because that you need to write in the introduction paragraph of your answer. So we should know at least the beginning part. He was the tutor of King Alexander the Great, and his career started from Plato's Academy in Athens. His time and his data, that which we had seen. He was known as Stagirite. Why? Because he was born over there. Now look, there is a second important thing which you should have to remember. Aristotle's philosophy is equal to peripatetic. Peripatetic, I mean to say, is known as the reversal of action, or we can say then when there is a twist or turn in the drama, the sudden twist that comes in the drama is known as peripatetic. It's a reversal of action. Peripatetic is known as reversal of action, and that is why his philosophy deals with, mostly it deals with reversal of action, or it deals with the sudden twist that comes in the drama. Dante says, look, Dante was the greatest critic, one of the greatest critic of old ancient or classical criticism. You must know his name. Dante says the master of those who know. One who knows is known as the master in that theory of criticism. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act but a habit. This is a quotation which Aristotle had mentioned in his works. You can mention this quotation in your answer anywhere because quotations are necessary, you know that. Look, this is the picture that I wish to show you. Here Aristotle is in white clothes and there is a young boy sitting in front of him in maroon clothes. He is Alexander, who was ruling afterwards in Greco-Roman concept. Alexander was a young boy when he was learning under his guru Aristotle. So this is the picture of Aristotle as guru, as teacher, and Alexander as pupil. Let's go for the next thing. Look, this is the most important point that I wish to tell you. Aristotle's ideas about God. Because it is an ancient criticism, we must learn much more things, and the theories and the concepts or the ideology of Aristotle. God as the cause of the motion of the world. God is the master of masters and the source of all actions. These what Aristotle believes. He is the instigator of all thought and movement, but at the same time, God is known to be cold and impersonal towards human fate. So Aristotle also believed that God could do nothing. One has to do the actions for himself or herself. God resembles the primal energy of the scientists rather than the heavenly father of the poets. So Aristotle strongly believed that God helps those who help themselves. His famous doctrine, the golden mean. Look, this is a particular work which is mentioned in Aristotle's Poetics. Before going to Aristotle's Poetics, we must, at least you students, must know some 4 to 5 works of Aristotle, some of the works of Aristotle, as for example Nicomachean or Golden Mean or many other works which I am going to take furthermore. He means to say that the golden mean is between the two extremes of the middle course. In golden mean, Aristotle forcefully says that the human being should be in a moderate mode. Human being should be neither on the extreme side, or the human being should be neither on the narrow side or the lower side. One should know the balanced mode of life. One should follow the balancing. One should be in a moderate mode. That is what he believed. He said about middle course. Look, in every case in the life, the rational way of life is doing nothing too much or too little but to adopt the middle course. Means he is talking about, we can say that madhyam marg, that middle course is like balancing. That moderacity, that moderateness is also related with this ideology of middle course. In the rhetoric, he says about the virtuous man at the right times with reference to the right objects, towards the right people, with the right motive and the right way. In this rhetoric, he said that everything should be in a right proper time or right mode or right motive. Means what? Balancing. Middle course is related with balancing. These are his ideologies in his famous work, Golden Mean. For the golden mean, it is the royal road to happiness. This view is relevant to an understanding of Aristotle's theory of catharsis. Again, there is a new word, catharsis, and that you must remember. Catharsis deals with purgation, the feelings of pity and fear that comes out of human mind, or that comes out when a person is watching drama or the person is watching movie, that is known as catharsis. So he forced about catharsis also. He intimated about that word which we had seen, reversal of action, peripecia, and these are his works in his famous work Poetics. All these things you have to keep in your mind. The ideal mean, that is golden mean, man is not an individual self but a social self. The ideal man is altruistic because he is wise. He never feels malice and always forgets in injuries. In short, he is a good friend to others because he is over that. He is the best friend of a human being. So here Aristotle wanted to say that he talked about altruistic way, and that altruistic word means that helping others. When a person helps others, he becomes the genuine human being. Being human is not a great concept which you guys are wearing on your t-shirts, but actually this concept is given in Aristotle, in Aristotle's work Golden Mean, where he talked about altruism. This is the picture. It shows how Aristotle had remained the teacher in his school when he was teaching in Lyceum. Lyceum is known as his school. It's one of his schools, and nowadays it is known as British school. Now these are the 5 key works regarding Aristotle's Poetics. They are connected with Aristotle's Poetics, but before taking that, we have to see these 5 key works, understanding the inner workings of the mind. Look, Aristotle was a great philosopher, and he had given the theory of democracy, he gave the theory of imitation, he gave the theory of mimesics. Imitation is mimesics. So let's go for number 1. Nicomachean Ethics. Look, this is the first work based on notes from his lectures in the Lyceum, in his school. Lyceum is his school, you remember that, I think. Aristotle posits happiness or living well as the primary goal in human life. Human beings should remember that any persistency you show or any goal pursuing you do, but your basic aim of life should be about becoming happy. Happiness is the important factor that one should keep in mind. Named for his son Nicomachus, the Ethics considers how man should best live and those virtues which produce happiness. Aristotle argues that man does not need to act to commit or crime or do a crime. Committing to do something can be just as unethical, and one should keep in mind to remain happy. So this is a one kind of holistic ideology which Aristotle had given about happiness and goal of life. Virtue or happiness is the most important thing in human being's life. Then second work, Politics. When describing man as a political animal, Aristotle says that man is a social animal. We know that it comes in social sciences in 8th and 9th standards. So you might remember that he had given that man is a political animal as is a social animal, that the polis or city-state is humanity's natural habitat. Politics meaning things concerning the polis explores the best way that man might live in a society and describes how royalty, aristocracy and constitutional government could become tyranny, oligarchy, democracy. For Aristotle, different species have naturally occupied fixed characteristics. So here he means to say that politics is an integral part of the society, and if a human being should follow politics or society or social life, he should, Aristotle believed that he forced that democracy is the necessary part of the society. Democracy is important. Now this number 3 and number 4 we are going to learn metaphysics and poetics finally. Metaphysics deals with after the physics. Meta itself shows the concealed part, concealing part, and it is regarding the first work to bear the title, though Aristotle himself did not use the term, and it is thought to have been added in the 1st century. During the 1st century, he had given that work, Metaphysics. He described the work as the study of being, qua being, or the first philosophy, in which the author examines the nature of things that can be said. So metaphysics deals with natural habitant, nature of things that can be said, that what happens naturally, that is regarded in his work Metaphysics. Nicomachus, then before that we had seen Politics. First one is Nicomachean Ethics. Nicomachean Ethics is about Aristotle's son. He had given this name because his son was known as Nicomachus. That's why this work is also known as Nicomachus or Nicomachean Ethics. Then number 2, Politics. Then number 3, Metaphysics. And number 4 is Aristotle's Poetics, which in deep we are going to learn that particular topic. And we have to go for Plato afterwards in the next session, second session, or in third session you must learn Plato also. So let's go for number 4, Poetics, which is the most IMP work. Considered to be the oldest surviving work of literary criticism. Look, this is the oldest surviving work, means it is an ancient work. It's a classic work. Aristotle produces a theory of how to construct drama through a study of the plays of Sophocles, Euripides, and epic poetry. So here there are 2 great guys, Sophocles and Euripides, who were the dramatists, who were the great ancient workers of the ancient Greek aesthetics. Ancient dramas were known because of Sophocles and Euripides, and these 2 people, their dramas, their works, their dramas were criticized. They were economized or criticized by Aristotle with the help of his work Poetics. Let's learn about drama was central to life in ancient Greece. Aristotle contended its study and it could offer a better moral education than history. Poetics is referenced on screenwriting courses today. Yes, poetics is taken as a part of studying the drama. If a person wants to learn about how the drama works, what should be the characters, what must be the theme, what are the parts of tragedy, and what are the things that come under tragedy, and the hero's tendencies, all these things regarding the tragedy and regarding the tragic drama, mostly the drama in a tragic form, they are concerned with this book, with the main work Aristotle's Poetics. Aristotle's Poetics is actually the elaboration, it is the complete elaboration of dramas, tragedy, the concept of tragic hero, and the points and parts of dramas in tragedy form. And mostly everything is about Greco-Roman concept and ancient old classic works. This you must remember well. Now last one is number 5, the work number 5 on the soul, De Anima. Look, De Anima, these are the works which are named in Greco-Roman language, Old English maybe you can say, or the Christian language or Roman. But you must remember the English word. If you are not able to remember that, you just write it down, D-E-A-N-I-M-A. Then you have to remember that main word, on the soul. Written contemporaneously with significant developments in scientific thought, logic and biology. In De Anima, Aristotle attempts to understand the soul hoping to define its essential nature and properties, a task he describes as one of the most difficult things in the world. To do so, he discusses the souls of different kinds of living things, plants, animals, and humans. So, the soul is the most difficult, I believe that, and most um, complex thing which could be, even it could not be solved even by the scientists, and that Aristotle had challenged, or he had been having that guts, that moral courage to to talk about or to write about on the soul. So in that work on the soul, he discussed every particular kind of soul. He took the small species as well as the plants, the animals, and the other human beings. So in depth study of the soul that was done by Aristotle. Look, there is a picture again. Aristotle with a bust of Homer by Rembrandt, oil on canvas, 1653. Now you can see that how beautiful this bust is. It is about great poet Homer. If you had heard this name in 8th or 9th standard in the books, Homer is known to be the blind poet who had written the great epics. Homer had written Iliad and Odyssey. So he was known for the Grecian great epics. That was Homer in that bust. And Rembrandt, as it is written over here, Rembrandt is the he is known as the painter and the person who had made sculptor. So you must remember Vincent van Gogh, Pablo Picasso, or you should remember Michelangelo. And in the same, in that category of great painters and sculptors, you must know this person Rembrandt. If you do the googling of Rembrandt, you will come to see many more sculptors that you should do. It's an oil canvas picture over here, and Aristotle is standing in this particular picture. You can see how he had dressed up and how he was looking. So certain images would enchant you to see many more other images in Google. If you get time, you should do that. Poetics is divided. Now look, the most important part, the core course of your BLOCK-02 book, the classical criticism. Here we are discussing about poetics, which is divided into 6 parts: introductory remarks on poetry and its classification. So first part is about how the poetry should be written, what should be the themes of the poetry, or what kind of poetry were written during the ancient period of time. What are the sources of tragedy, what must be the theme of tragedy, or either what should be the what are the parts of tragedy, what can be the plot, how can be the characters, and what are the features and characteristics of tragic hero. Certain things are going to be discussed in this topic of tragedy. Then there comes poetic diction. So you can see that there are blue asterisks in this ppt, in this slide, and this blue asterisk shows that each particular point has a big, much more topic or much more big data that you should have to write in a short note form. There may be short notes or long questions. So the poetic diction, afterwards the narrative poetry and tragedy, that could be discussed in Aristotle's Poetics. And then finally there are 2 things: epic is compared with tragedy, and objections are going to be answered. What are the differences between epic and what are the differences between tragedy? The features and characteristics of epic and tragedy would be differentiated in this topic. And finally, poetics are in 6 parts. The work assigned to students, that we have to find out all the subtopics of each main topics of poetics. Look, I had written these points to remind you that you can find the things and data about tragedy, then you should find the things and data about poetic diction, or you must read it from your SLM books. Then there would be the data regarding narrative poetry and tragedy. So you are going to make notes in such a way so that you can have to write first 4 to 5 points or pages regarding tragedy, then poetic diction, then narrative poetry and tragedy together. Then finally you write about comparison of epic and tragedy, because comparison of epic and tragedy is I think that it is the most essential part of Aristotle's Poetics. He had given much more concepts regarding the epic, and he had talked too much about tragedy. So these two things would be the core things, and that you must compare with each other. Then finally there would be the objections, and all the topics will be discussed in our forthcoming sessions. Having examined the definition, nature and function of tragedy, Aristotle comes to its formative part. Look, I told you that poetics is the discussion about 6 formative elements of a tragedy: plot, character, diction, thought, spectacle, and song. These are 3 black spots. I think you can see these 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, these 6 black rounds, and they are the main core part of Aristotle's Poetics, which we are going to discuss afterwards in the next to next sessions or the next sessions. Goodbye.